name is Theresa and welcome to Flour, Eggs, and Yeast. Today we are going to be fulfilling a question that I have gotten who have taken our cookie classes. The number one question is how to make the royal icing. Royal icing in cookie world is a combination of powdered sugar, some flavors, which we love to use real vanilla, a little bit of butter extract, water, and we have our meringue powder. Meringue powder stabilizes the icing and allows the cookie to harden just a little on the top. And then the controversial item of choice, corn syrup. So we use corn syrup in our icing on our vanilla bean sugar cookies because when you bite into a sugar cookie, most people will say, I don't like sugar cookies because it has this crunchy icing on top, which I abhor. I hate that crunchy icing. So it was really important to me when we started our bakery that I figured out, okay, how can I create a softer bite? So that's what the corn syrup does. There's only a 1/4 cup in the entire 2 pounds of icing. So it's just a little, but that way when you bite into that vanilla bean sugar cookie, it has that softness on top, even though it's set on the very top with that meringue powder. So let's make some icing for the tops of our sugar cookies. So you're putting your dry ingredients first into your KitchenAid mixer. We're taking our tablespoon and we're going to be using a butter knife or something with a flat edge so that you are always measuring precisely. So we're gonna dip our tablespoon into the meringue powder, and as you can see, I am just scraping the top of it so that it is an even layer. We're going to be wanting to put 3 tablespoons with our 2 pounds of powdered sugar into the mixing bowl. The last dry ingredient that you'll be wanting to add to your mixer before adding any liquid is sea salt. Sea salt is delicious. I love sea salt. So when you go to grab the salt in your cupboard, personally, I love sea salt, which is fine. So fine sea salt. And that way, when people are biting into the cookie, they have little pops of a little saltiness to counteract the sweetness of that sugar. Now, what you want to do is mix this so all of your dry ingredients come together before you add your liquid. All you're doing is putting it onto the number 4 so that it just mixes it. If you put it any higher, it's going to be a big old mess in your kitchen. Now that the dry ingredients are incorporated, we're going to start adding our water, which make sure to use filtered or some type of water that you actually like drinking. So this is not a glass of water that I'm drinking from. It's a water so that I can dip my measuring cups in. We're gonna have 2 different measurements of water. I'm going to use 1/3 cup of water to start, and I'm just dipping it into my container and just pouring it right in here. I'm not going to use the 1/4 cup of water because I may not need it. Depends on the humidity of the day. We're down here in Central Florida, and sometimes it's a bit humid, so I may not have to use the full 1/4 cup of water. So just to start, 1/3 cup of water that is filtered into your container. The next is your corn syrup. So we're going to be doing 1/3 cup of white corn syrup or light corn syrup, and we're gonna be putting that right in. Now, this is a white gel paste because when I add my vanilla extract, because we're using real vanilla extract, it's gonna tinge it a little brown, and I want to maintain white. And not only that, if you are a cookie decorator or you're attempting to be a cookie decorator, and sometimes you decorate the different colors on your cookie and then give it a day or 2 and then it bleeds, like maybe the red is bleeding into the white. This helps it. This beefs up the icing so that there's less color bleed, because if you don't use this and then you take some of your icing and you color it red or whatever color you're going for and you put it up against the white icing on that cookie, that other white icing it's not coming to the table with any strength behind it. It's really just going to absorb or have that red bleed into it. So this helps protect it. We want 1 tablespoon of this white food gel right into our container here. Next is our vanilla. A tablespoon of the vanilla right in there. Last but not least, it is called an emulsion. So this is a butter emulsion. This has a lot of great flavor, and so we're adding butter because I feel like it rounds out the overall bite of the vanilla bean on the bottom cookie and then the icing on the top. So we don't need a whole tablespoon, we just need a teaspoon. So we're gonna grab our teaspoon and we're gonna put this right on top, and you can really, can you smell it? So you can really smell the butter in this. So now we have everything in our bowl. What I want to make sure that you're aware of is after I hit start on this, it's going to look thick, and you just want to whack it around. If you're doing it by hand, you're really going to rock it around. If you're using a stand mixer, start on 2, get it going. Then you're going to move up to 4, and then kind of like mid to higher speed. You're going to really make sure it combines. So let's do that now. So you could see when I was showing you that the combination of the powdered sugar and those wet ingredients are really coming together to form almost like a paste. Thickness of this at this point would be considered a very thick icing. If you need to do detail work, you may be able to just stop at this point, but we're gonna do one more step before we take it out of the bowl if you need to have a thick royal icing for detail work. We have a wooden spoon. I highly recommend a wooden spoon. I don't recommend a rubber spatula because it doesn't have enough strength for this toothpaste thickness of the royal icing. So all I'm doing is I am scraping down the edges of the pans so that I'm making sure everything is really incorporated. And I'm gonna give it one more round on medium for about 1 minute, and that way I can really be sure that it's all combined. What you want to avoid, 1, you don't want to over mix your icing, because if you have done that in the past and you didn't realize that you did, then you decorate it and then you like bite into it and it's kind of crumbly. That's because you over mixed your icing and maybe didn't add enough water. Or you want to make sure not to under mix your icing, because it will look like it becomes separated on your cookie. You'll be able to see little lines in that icing after you decorate, and you'll be like, what the heck? Why does it look like the ocean on my cookie? It's because you didn't get a chance to combine and adhere the different molecules of your ingredients to make the icing. They're still technically like water, corn syrup, and icing sugar, powdered sugar. So you want to allow the ingredients to really solidify. Okay, so you can kind of see it's very thick, right? So this is thick. You can still see there's a couple little granules in there. So it still needs a little bit of mixing time. So we're gonna do that right now. Now this is where the other half of the filtered water batch will be coming in. So we're going to want to take our 1/4 cup. You're not going to dump the whole amount into your mixing bowl. All I'm doing is I'm measuring a 1/4 cup, because I've found that I never need more than a 1/4 cup, never. But I'm going to just dribble a little tiny bit in there, just a little, because I want to create a medium thickness icing. So I'm gonna make sure to turn it back on and check the icing consistency before I add more water. So we're gonna mix it all up. You're doing it at 1 minute increments, so you're allowing enough time for everything to get together. What I want to do is I want to scrape down the bowl again, because that thick paste material, the thicker icing is still stuck on the edges. So what you want to do, we've done it twice now. We've scraped down our bowl at the beginning when everything was first combining, and now we are scraping down after I've added a little bit of that last batch of filtered water. Now this is great. It's coming together. I can smell the butter and the vanilla in here. It smells delicious. If you haven't yet already, hit that follow button. Please do, we greatly appreciate it, and you will be able to see how these cookies come to life. I want to be able to flood my cookies, so I just did a little drop. A little goes a long way with your Royal Icing, so I'm just gonna mix it up one last time and then we will be ready. Are you ready? I know I am. My name is Theresa. Stay tuned. Here we go. We are decorating cookies on this Saturday morning. So we're done mixing our icing, so I'm going to want to take the bowl off the mixer and I'm going to scrape all the extra icing back in so I don't lose any of this deliciousness. You might be wondering, how long does icing last? It depends on how you're storing it. So if you store your icing in airtight pastry bags, I have a few preferences. They're called tipless icing bags, and you tie them at the end. They can last a few days on your counter. You'll want to massage the bag before you use it again, because the icing will always be wanting to separate. So really you can see, look at that beautiful icing. So it's bright white because of our Americolor, and really there's some air bubbles that are trapped in there. That is completely normal, but what you need to do is separate out your icing, because we're gonna want a couple different colors for these game controllers that I'm gonna be creating. We want some white, black, red, and blue. So I can see already that some of the air bubbles are popping up. They're coming up to the surface. So you can see that if I just pop the bubbles, they will go away. So you need to allow your icing to settle for at least 10 minutes. But if I were to settle it right here without covering the bowl, it would dry and form a crust on top of that icing, and we don't want that. So how you can prevent that is you wet down paper towels that are long enough to be able to drape over each of your bowls. So I wet this paper towel and I wrung it out so it's not dripping wet, but it is nice and wet. So I'm going to just drape it over the bowl, and this allows some of that moisture to be protected, or all the moisture to be protected on top of your icing layer there. So I'm gonna get 2 more and put that on there, and we're going to allow it to rest for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna pop all those bubbles. So you can see the bubbles are right there. See how I just was able to pop that bubble? The air bubbles are not your friends when you're decorating cookies. Look at that. That is awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial on Royal Icing. If you follow us here at this channel, Flour, Eggs, and Yeast, you will be able to see the entire cookie come to life. This was just a specific request from many students who have taken cookie classes with us here in the Central Florida region, and hopefully it helped. If you ever have questions, feel free to look in our other videos. I'm linking a whole playlist above here, right here, maybe here, and you'll be able to learn so much. So my name is Theresa. Loved having you be a part of today's show, and stay tuned. Here we go. A lot more cookie decorating in the works. Bye guys. Probably gonna cut that from the video because it makes no sense. A lot more velocity. I don't know if that's the right word. If you follow us along, if you follow us here at this channel, Flour, Eggs, and Yeast. It's so exciting to be back in front of the camera. I've missed you guys. So thank you for following us. It's been quite the busy journey. If this is making it into the bloopers, yay, bloopers!